One of the things that strikes me is how many authors and storytellers are somewhere on the spectrum. I think not all of them, or maybe the majority of them, are not diagnosed, but I often recognize so many traits of ADD or ADHD, or even kind of like remnants of autism. And that poses quite a few challenges if you are a storyteller and you want to write. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because I think you and I, Dom, we both struggle with symptoms of ADHD. I've never been diagnosed. I still hope to be diagnosed. I don't know, but you, we don't have to share that here.
I'm self-diagnosed as well, but it's like, it's pretty obvious for.
And so typical people that are watching this, because you may not recognize anything we talk about, but it basically means your head is like, have you ever been to IKEA? And in the children's section, and this is a global phenomenon, they have this ball pit with all these colored balls. That's our brain, basically.
It's like a bubble gun.
Yeah. And a new idea is like a child that jumps into that ball pit and all the balls start whirling around. How do you deal with that?
At first, it's fun. And then it's like, I don't know how to swim. How do I get out? Where's the floor? I'm hungry. Somebody changed my diaper, right? And now I hate these balls and these bubbles. Let's get out of here. And then as soon as you leave, that was fun. Let's do that again. And then just the cycle continues.
Let's talk about some of the advantages of having a brain that functions like that. What are some of the strong aspects of this?
Okay. So here's what I think. Here's what I've learned on outside of storytelling. One of the superpowers of having a brain that functions the way that we do, it's always on. It's always attentive. It's able to jump between multiple things really, really quickly. Now, that's still different from trying to multitask, but you're able to pay attention to a lot of things very, very quickly. Where in the sort of human story, human condition is that valuable? Well, if you're a hunter, okay, not so much maybe a gatherer or a farmer, and those are essential roles, or somebody who's at home carving wood. No, a hunter is somebody who's out in the wild. You're hunting deer or mammoths, tigers, whatever. You need to be always on. You need to move fast. You don't actually have to remember a lot of things. So your short-term memory is like processing, ooh, look, the light moved on that leaf, or that sound could mean something, right? You need people who are hyper-aware and always on. Well, the funny thing is...
How does that translate in the work that you do? Give me some examples of how that expresses itself.
Well, see, that's where people like you and I kind of get stuck, because maybe we're supposed to be in environments like that, and now we're stuck behind a desk. The walls are solid, and so where do we go nuts? In our brains, in our TV screens. We're playing music, to like try to focus attention, and then we jump between multiple tasks, and then we struggle, I think, a lot with our energy. So where it can become a superpower, though, I think, with either stories or maybe with work, like you just asked, is that you can get through stuff really quickly, because when the energy is there's times where it isn't, but when the energy is there, it's a cataract of attention and energy where you can get through stuff at a pace that other people just think is like a superpower or insane or ridiculous, whereas everybody else is like one foot in front of the other, slow and steady, wins the race. But, if you're a tortoise, slow and steady can win the race. The rabbit could have won that race 15 times if the rabbit had learned a little bit of discipline. And so the challenge for us is to figure that out.
I sometimes liken it to hyperspace in Star Wars. We have the Millennium Falcon and it's just floating through the stars. But then you see something and you want to get there quick, and you just pull the lever, and then all the stars become these big stripes, and then you're in this tunnel. And while you're in this tunnel, you don't see stars anymore. You're just like, that is
in the zone.
Hyperfocus. You're in the zone. Right. You're like, there's so much energy, but at the same time, there's also a price that you pay. You burn through your energy 10 times as fast as in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that you're going so fast.
How do you handle that? How do you deal with that? I know you take a lot of walks. Is that what helps you?
The walks help me to get rid of overwhelm. When I've been working an entire morning, writing stories, preparing for a show like this, and coming up with all sorts of creative ideas, there is a point where my brain is just shutting down, and I feel like I'm so overwhelmed. I sometimes get a headache, or I get flustered. Like right now, I feel that my I'm
Oh no,
getting
really?
red cheeks. And it's just because of the hyper focus of doing this show and keeping the
Mhm.
conversation going and thinking in my mind. Like there are at least 3 or 4 tracks of thought. Like, okay, I want to say this, but I also have to take a look at the clock and we don't want to go. All that
Friends.
That's you too. Say
drains
hi in the
energy.
comments. Give us a fire emoji in the comments if you agree.
Yeah.
But so that's why I always after lunch I go for a walk in the woods for an hour, and it's
Mhm.
just to ground myself, to slow down, to move my body, which is also
Mhm.
something I forget to do when I'm in hyperfocus. I'm like all cramped behind a computer, going at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And then my other secret weapon is this. This is a little visual,
Oh,
and so I used to use this a lot, where it's basically it shows you a pie, and when the pie is gone, when all the red is gone, it means I have to stop. I have to take a
Mhm.
break. I
Mhm.
now have an app that I use on my computer that does it for me. And so it's the
Okay.
Pomodoro technique, where you work for 25 minutes, super concentrated on one task. That's also
Okay.
important, not to do like 5 projects, and then take a break, 5-minute break, and then
Yeah.
rinse and repeat.
Mhm.
And that has saved me. And
Yeah.
it's helping me to be much more productive without burning all the fuel and then get stuck in an asteroid belt when I get out of hyperfocus.
Right, right. You know what has helped for me is little things like diet, like high protein diet is always very helpful. Take walks first thing in the morning. It helps to burn off kind of excess, like you say, overwhelm or body energy so that I can now focus on using my brain throughout the day because I'm a desk, I work at a desk. Taking a little nap, even a 10-minute, nap in the afternoons or something, to give your brain just a minute to like stop and just be quiet. And then usually I'll come back from that, or 10 minutes, 30 minutes on the couch, and get back up. And like, there's now a fresh burst of energy. You get your second wind. I saw a piece of advice that I thought was actually really helpful. And it's this major one, which is we do function this way. Maybe some of us can do a little bit of medicating. Maybe there's a little bit of meditating, right? There could be some things going on with our biology that might need to be tweaked, or a change of diet to be a little more even. Okay. But there are some of us where we are wired this way, or we are built this way, and it's a good thing. And we're not meant to function and operate and work the way somebody else does. So
Sure.
if you own that, and if you accept that it can be a good thing, then it's like a fire hose of energy. Okay. And there are some people who are like that. Maybe that is a good thing. Accept it. Work with it. Work with the energy. When the energy is there, go and do the cool thing, the epic thing, the thing that you're
Yeah.
interested in doing. Go ahead and do that. And then the hose will shut off when you don't expect it. That's okay. All of a sudden you'll be wanting, oh, I want to go do this other thing. Go ahead and do that. Follow where you have the energy. Not
Right.
everybody can do this. Some people have, they have like a pool of energy, and they take a teaspoon of it and they just keep teaspooning that, and they get them through the day, and they progress through things. And that is fantastic. People like us maybe are more like, I don't control this hose and it's just like blasting, rainbows, bubbles everywhere. Well, maybe that's okay. Do that, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to lose it for a couple of hours. It'll be back tomorrow. And
Yes.
people like us, we get so much done in a short period of time, and then we rest for a long period of time.
And the most important thing that I have had to learn was to be patient with myself and
Mhm.
to not gaslight myself when I am in these periods of recovery where my brain is like, okay, I burned all my fuel. There's no way. Oftentimes in the past, I would force myself. I would like need to do this. I need to work. Why am I not like regular people? And for me, the key to, and kind of enjoying having this strange brain of mine was to just be okay with it. It is what it is. It doesn't help to fight. Just go with the flow, like you say. When the energy is there, when the ideas are there, see if you can do that. Of course, within limits. You don't want to completely burn yourself out. And when you have a day where I call that a potato day, there's
Oh,
some
really?
days and it's just nothing works, and I'm depressed, and I like, what's wrong with me? Well,
Yeah.
that's basically a day where your brain, your body is telling you, or maybe God is telling
Mm.
you, it's okay to be a potato. That's what the couch is for. Go be a potato on the couch.
You know what
Watch
You know what I do on
TV.
those days? Days when I feel like that, I'm like, darn it all, I'm making a cake. And so I go make a big loaf of
Oh,
banana bread, or I make a massive apple pie or something like that.
I made
And
apple
then
pie.
Future me in about an hour is going to be so happy and so grateful that I made something that just makes me, my body, makes all of me feel really happy to enjoy something that tastes really good. Plus, I'm having apple pie for breakfast the next day, and that's a good way to start the day.
If you have symptoms of ADHD, or maybe you've been diagnosed, or you're otherwise on the spectrum, and you have some tips to share, because I'm sure that people that watch this video, that's because the algorithm knows something about you that maybe you don't realize.
You're our kind of person.
Share your experiences, both the highs and the lows, and maybe you have some advice and some tricks and tips. Let us know in the comments, and if you want us to revisit or answer questions about this, feel free to drop a note.